listening to Pop This, the podcast where three women talk about pop culture. Here are your hosts, Lisa Christiansen, Andrea Gin, and Andrea Warner.
All right, so an update. I know a lot of people who were listening to my quest for a good lipstick were, understood what I was going through and probably have that same drawer of colors that they thought were going to work. Well, I did what I said I was going to do. I went into Sephora. I walked around. Unfortunately, the recommendation that you had for me, AW, was not available. It was not,
so sorry.
although they had many Gucci's, many Gucci's.
Sure.
They did not have that color. And so I walked around some more. And then this dazzling thing that you've all already seen happened to me. And it
I wish this was a visual medium.
I was just going to say, for anybody who is, can't see what we're seeing right now, Lisa is wearing a lipstick, her new lipstick. It's very beautiful, but is also just circling her mouth with these really beautifully painted hands as well.
Oh,
like
I did.
Yeah, you've gone all out.
I have
like
for you
this
guys, I have.
This looks like the fanciest I've ever seen. Look at you go.
On
you
a
look
Wednesday
like
night.
a pulled together person.
I did. Well, I did not shower today, so I appreciate that recommendation there for my looks. But
You look great.
thank you. So yes, for anyone out there, and this is a famous lipstick. I should have just gone straight for it when there's one known, and this is the Charlotte Tilbury Pillow Talk.
Yes, I have read about that lipstick. A lot of people talk about it. It's supposed to look good on lots of people.
Is it like one of those universal colors they're supposed to be?
Yeah, I think so. Yeah. I'm very happy with it. It was when I put it on, I went, "This is it. This is the one." I might now confidently say my quest is over.
How do you feel about when you achieve a quest? Do you feel a little bit sort of sad or satisfied or a combo or something else entirely?
Yeah, that's a good question. I mean,
well, I can get here. We may have to check in about this a ways down the road, but have either of you ever actually finished a lipstick down to the nub?
Yes, I have.
Oh, I have not. I will now, I'm sure. That.
I have. I've actually a few. There was a L'Occitane lip gloss with an SPF 30 or whatever. It was a very, very light berry, and I used that thing right down to the nubbins, and yeah, I've done it a few times.
I've never accomplished it, and it must be such a satisfying feeling to just finish it.
It is and it isn't, because then I was like, oh God, I gotta go get a new one. And every time I have attempted, which is very rarely because I don't go into malls, and but whenever I try to order it online, or I remember that I need this, I love it, it's great, it's always sold out. So I'm a little sad about that. So I have the satisfaction of having finished it, but I don't have the satisfaction of sort of having it back in my life again.
Yeah, I can see that.
I generally don't get to the bottom of a nail polish as well, because it starts to get gummy.
To the bottom of a nail
polish. It gets all gross. And I should tell you that this color is called clam bake.
I love it.
Nice.
I know,
you get that frequently, right? I feel like I've seen you with this before. Yeah.
Yeah, it's a reddy orange, and I have to say clam bake, it's my summer shade. So,
but it looks like just a really deep, cool red from here. It doesn't look reddy orange through the camera.
No, through the camera, I think there's a little different. But if you saw it in real life, it has more of it's definitely an orangey red, and it's my favorite. So that's what you'll be seeing this a lot.
Your summer color.
I feel like I'm on The Price is Right, and I'm one of those models that's,
well, you are doing a lot of handwork.
I'm doing a lot of handwork. I'm
more handwork than honestly most
channel.
Podcasts really ever have, I think.
Or need.
Arguably, or need. I don't know, but I think about it just, when you have those quests, when I finally like I think I'm always going to be on the quest for like the perfect red lipstick. You know, like it has to be like just perfect, and it can't move all over my face either. Like I want it to be both.
You want a matte shade, or because I like a bit of a gloss.
I don't mind a gloss, but I want it to also stay very like for a long time, and I want it to. So I guess I do want it to be sort of like a long wear. Like I don't want it to budge a lot. And it also, I have to make sure that it doesn't transfer to my teeth, because I always end up with lipstick on my teeth if it's not like a super dry one. But I don't like it to really, really dry up my lips. Anyway, I think I'm on the quest for something that maybe that doesn't exist. But there is this French makeup creator. She is like the makeup director for like Guerlain or whatever that that brand is. And she has her own private makeup company. And it's, I think, oh my gosh, what's it called? Violette's, I think it's called. Anyways, she makes this like red lipstick that I think might be perfect. It might be.
See,
Wow.
But I haven't ordered it yet because it's like €36 or something.
Oh.
And I'm just like, I think I need to just like ease into this.
I've kind of really given up on lipstick a little bit during the pandemic because it really bothers me to wear a mask and have it all my makeup smear on the inside of the mask.
For sure.
And so like I just normally like I haven't been wearing any at all, and I just like I'm a little like past like overspending like ridiculous amounts of money on lipsticks and on the lipstick quest trying to find like a color that I'm completely happy with. So I feel like I'm a bit in my post lipstick phase.
Oh,
Honestly,
I was happy to leave mine. I was just, let me out. And you know what? Sephora sold out of a ton of things because of that. I asked the because every time we went somewhere, luckily this was not sold out, but other things we tried were all sold out. And she said people have just been flocking back in again now.
Well, I think that's why I'm still like on why it's so important for me to have like an unshiftable lipstick. You know, like I don't want it to move at all because I am wearing masks all the time still. So like, but I guess it's I have liked to bring a strong lip to all of my Zooms. Like I gave up on mascara like 5 years ago. And so, I mean, right now I just came from the pool and I'm showered. So like you get a very bare me. But normally I like to bring like I've started to incorporate an eyeliner the last couple of years, and a strong lip. And those are my go-tos for all my Zooms.
Oh, well, I now have my Zoom lipstick. So I feel, bring it on. And just as we're going to be saying goodbye.
But are we? I don't know, man.
I don't know. It's true. This might be why I purchased this lipstick, just so I can go on Zoom. Well, we're about to find out, aren't we?
Sure. Yeah. We'll see.
We'll see. We'll see.
Thrilled. Can't wait.
So many mysteries.
But you know what? I got to say, like, if the moment it feels lackluster, like in this particular moment feels lackluster, it might be because our movie killed our soul collectively. And honestly, lipstick is the only thing that could have brought a bit of life and color to this film.
Yeah, what can you say?
It was... I have so many things to say. I'm so upset by this movie. Also, one of my longtime grudges is validated by how crappy this movie is. And I can't wait to dive into it with you all. I'm Andrea Warner.
I'm Lisa Christiansen.
I'm Andrea Gin.
And you're listening to Pop This. And today, oh boy. Well, look, this
We're
is my fault.
kicking off our brine season, right? This is...
No.
Oh, no, we didn't. We did Marry Me,
We
right.
did Marry Me
right.
last week.
Yeah.
Again, not the strongest entry.
No.
And I gotta say, this is I think this is a rock bottom.
These movies have both also put me in like my post liking weddings phase of life too, because I've watched these two movies and it's just like weddings are totally pointless and ridiculous. Why?
Well, I mean, to be fair, you had a wedding. So,
Yeah,
I mean,
that's part of what I was going to talk about today. Is just like how, like when you're young, you get sucked into the wedding industrial complex and you feel like you need to do all these things and have a wedding. And now that it's like way, way in my rearview mirror, I feel like I do not care about anything, like any of those things that I cared about when I was planning my wedding.
sure. I mean, that makes sense. But like you have many years of experience sort of between that old version of you and this version of you. This movie somehow just makes life a punishment. Like,
yeah. And we haven't even said the title. I wonder if
oh, sorry. Oh
everyone's-
my God.
yeah,
We're
that's-
talking about Destination Wedding. Now, Destination Wedding, I wish it was a mashup of like Final Destination and Wedding. Like if it actually had like a horror theme to it, it would have been more satisfying. It has a horror theme to it, but
Yeah.
the horror is like overwritten dialogue and terrible
unlikable.
like characters. Like and honestly, the script is just so bad.
Yes.
Yes. Yes.
Like-
It's going to be a tough one. We're going to be talking about something that we all hated quite extensively, and I warned you. I want to say I did warn you with that text.
Look, you warned me, but I had already done this to us, and I want to apologize in retrospect.
So for the record, this was Andrea Warner's choice of movie
This absolutely was my
for
choice.
everybody.
Yep. No, I mean, you know, I will remind everyone I don't force people. You have the option to say no, but it's my fault. I suggested it. I even said in my proposal, I hear it's terrible, but maybe it'll be kind of fun terrible.
No.
It's not fun terrible.
No.
Like I
would have stopped watching it, and then many times I thought I could just come onto the podcast and say, "Hey, guess what? I stopped watching."
Well,
And,
I mean,
but then that would be rude because you will both say, "We slogged through. This is
but
part
I
of your
think, like,
job."
I was thinking about like part of this is like we've never done this with a movie before, but I just don't think people should watch this movie.
No, I don't think people should watch this either.
right off the bat because it's so awful.
Yeah.
And so terrible.
It's not even a fun terrible to watch. Like it's so
No.
terrible.
And you have to rent it
Yeah.
on iTunes right now. So definitely don't do that.
Yeah, no, any amount of money you spend on it will be too much. And, you won't get your
So,
soul back. The only good thing
just-
I can say about it was that it was only an hour and 24 minutes.
And it still felt too long.
Yeah, oh yeah.
Yeah.
Oh,
but just
yeah.
like let us tell you about this movie
Yeah,
and
yeah,
why
yeah.
you don't want to bother with it because it's definitely not worth your time.
Yeah, like, and I gotta say, so I mean, I know that we're gonna read the background and synopsis, et cetera, and we'll really like I think break down this movie because we don't want anyone to watch it. But like, I just want to front load this and say we have seen some movies that are not great on this podcast, but usually then the critical score and the audience score on Rotten Tomatoes reflect that. They agree with that. They say this movie is at 28% or 30% or whatever. This movie, Destination Wedding, which is so crushingly terrible, has a 58% audience score and a 51% critic score. That is so high for this movie. I can't even understand what is happening.
I mean, I can't even. It doesn't make any sense at all because it's almost unwatchable to me.
Absolutely. Absolutely. Oh my God. Okay. So let's background. Here we go. Keep this real brief. Destination Wedding is a 2018 American romantic comedy drama film. And I'm going to say
But
light.
how?
Light.
Is it either
light,
romantic
yeah.
or a comedy?
Written and directed by Victor Levin. I got some words for him. It stars Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves as two people who meet while attending the same wedding in Paso Robles, California. It was released Paso Robles. It was released in the United States on August 31st, 2018.
if you want to say it like a local.
Yeah, I want to say it like I've never been there.
But they were in
and
San Luis Obispo, which is a place I just like saying. I've always just liked
it is a
saying
fun-
San Luis Obispo.
Yeah.
Which is the home of the incredible Madonna Inn.
Yeah.
Where I've stayed. And if you're ever on a road trip in California, make sure you go stay at the Madonna Inn. It's the most incredible, like, I guess it's like a motel. It's like on the side of a highway kind of thing, like just off the highway. But it's like just famous for having these themed rooms. And like you can choose like a jungle theme or like a sort of caveman theme. Or
What did you choose?
like, we got the classic Madonna Inn room, which was like pink, rose, floral everywhere. It had like faux rock in the bathroom with like waterfalls coming down.
Wow.
So, like, wash your hands and
Okay.
stuff.
I love
And
it.
Yeah.
the shower was like all faux rock as well. Like it's amazing. And their dining room features like these incredible pink booths with like pink rose carpet and chandeliers, and they serve like an incredible pink champagne 3-tier cake. It's the best place. And
I also love your goblets that you have from there. They're my
Oh, yes.
favorite goblets.
I bought
Oh,
some
wow.
goblets. Yeah.
Nice. That could have perked up this movie quite a bit. If
I know they
stayed
should have.
somewhere.
If
Yeah.
there was a scene there, that would have been great.
Yeah.
There's too much joy at that place. This movie, no joy.
Yeah. No joy.
Would someone love to read the joyless synopsis?
I will take on that then, yes. When Frank and Lindsay meet on their way to a destination wedding, they soon discover they have a lot in common. They both hate the bride, the groom, the wedding, themselves, and each other. As the weekend's events continually force them together and their cheerlessness immediately isolates them from the other guests, Frank and Lindsay find that if you verbally spar with someone long enough, anything can happen. That was my emphasis there.
Really, though?
Can it? Honestly,
Do you want it to?
no. Yeah. Like I felt like this is the kind of movie that like you think is supposed to sort of crackle with electricity and wit and snappy back and forths, and instead it is immediately just the two of them, Frank and Lindsay, in dialogue the entire time. There are no other speaking roles, and they talk incessantly.
Is that
There are no
true?
other people. There's no other people.
There are no other
You don't
speaking
see
roles.
them. Yeah.
Yeah, there are a bunch of people credited as being in the film because they're there, but like we never actually hear a single other person speak. It's just Frank and Lindsay.
It did definitely have the feeling of a play.
But a
Like
terrible play.
Yes.
Yeah.
The kind of play that like when I was reviewing theater, you would have seen with me, AG, because I only took you to terrible theater.
Yeah, you
And-
saved the absolute worst ones for me.
all the time. And it just like this is a terrible play in film format. And I know, okay. So, is this the first time you've all seen it?
Yeah.
seen
Of
it?
course it is.
Okay, I just want to make sure. I
Is
just
there
wanna
No,
make
I
anyone
watched
on
it
the planet
twice.
that has seen
Yeah.
this twice?
Did anybody actually want to see it when it came out? Like, was this something that was on your radar at some point?
Well,
I
probably.
remember, hearing about it and thinking, like, I like Keanu Reeves. I like Winona Ryder.
Yeah.
They were so cute in Dracula together. Well, let's
Can't
put
be
them
bad.
back, you know?
Honestly, Dracula, more of a love story than
Yeah,
this.
absolutely.
Like, and more of a romantic comedy as well. Yeah, like so they get on this plane. It's like this first they meet in an airport and they're immediately wildly weird and confrontational with each other. These are just two people who do not know how to behave in public or talk to a single other human. Then, of course, it's a tiny, tiny plane. They're seated right next to each other. And then they rather quickly find out that Frank is the half-brother of Lindsay's ex, and they're both going to this destination wedding. Now, maybe one of the only things that I enjoyed about this movie, and I can't even believe I'm going to say this, was the description of a destination wedding as presumptuous.
Yes,
Yes, yes.
that's one part that they nailed. is
Yeah,
a-
it sure is.
the sort of description of how much. Well, I personally am gonna project a little bit here, but like I hate the idea of destination weddings. Like, I don't like that at all.
I've been to at least one, and we had a great time. We really loved it, but I would be so mad if every wedding invitation I received was a destination
How
wedding.
far did you have to go for this destination wedding?
We flew to Mexico.
Oh, okay.
Wow.
I have been to one, but it was on Vancouver Island, so I don't know
Yeah,
if that,
I've been to
if that
one
counts.
like that. That doesn't seem like a destination
No.
wedding.
Yeah,
But
like I've driven
yeah.
to like, I don't know, a small town in the interior and stuff, or a few of those kinds of things. But, well, I guess one time I did have to travel to this town called Winfield, which is just past Kelowna. And it was sort of a destination wedding in that it was on the person's aunt's property or whatever. And it was Renaissance themed. And so we were all
that's a
served,
whole other issue.
we were all served
theme weddings.
tiny quails.
Oh,
Oh.
okay. Wow.
Yeah, did not care for that.
And
Anyway,
did you have mead with
But,
it? Or?
but just
yeah,
like
there was mead.
Yeah.
in general, I mean, I don't like destination weddings. I
Yeah.
feel like it's not really fair to your guests to plan a destination wedding and expect them to travel, to sacrifice a bunch of time to get to where your wedding is, spend a bunch of money.
Yeah.
Yeah, I just
Go get
just
married
always-
and then come back and have a party. There you go.
Yeah, like
Yeah,
I
exactly.
I always figure that like people who decide that they want destination weddings have either decided that they only want their rich friends to come, or they don't really want that many people to come. But this is a great way that people like maybe will send a gift and not go.
Maybe that'll do it. Yeah.
Yeah. So like that was like one part that I was like, okay, like that's fine. So, but like these characters just immediately have the worst conversation I've like he for whatever reason does marketing for JD Power and Associates, and she goes off on this, which is fine, I guess, cuz she prosecutes people who do like hate speech and all kinds of other
So
stuff.
is she a lawyer? Is that
She's apparently a lawyer.
okay?
But like he describes her as like the new fascism. Like the things that like he has this Keanu's character Frank says some real like scary alt-right things throughout the movie in these very like low-key ways.
yeah. Yeah.
And not even that low key sometimes. Like at one point they're like they've warmed up to each other a tiny bit. They're at the wedding and they're talking about like the different kinds of guests, including like they're both blown away by like a pansexual guest. And then it immediately slips into like this sort of weird transphobia, this weird homophobia, this super like anti any kind of sexual like experience beyond sort of like straight cis heteronormative sex, even though like it's just anyway they hate fat people, they hate old people. I know that
exchange about his
Yeah.
mother was so I just felt like some dude wrote that, like I
We
really
need
did.
to. So
yeah, so I guess like we should say like so they just continue to be terrible. They like start out being very terrible about people, but they like end up at the rehearsal dinner the first night, and they're talking about how like Lindsay's not really over
Keith.
her ex. Keith is his name?
I thought his name was Keith.
Yeah, probably. And how like Frank doesn't understand it because he hates his brother, but he also seems to extremely hate his mother. And he also hates his mother's ex's new girlfriend because she happens to be the same age as like her partner. Like
like a bit older.
a bit older.
A bit older. Yeah, it seemed like that was a lovely thing to see.
Yeah, and they were so hateful in how they're describing, like it was like non-stop jokes about how hopefully they're like it's good that there is like a what's a mortuary nearby, like it's about like crypt keeper kind of stuff, like
Yeah, they were really cruel.
really awful stuff.
Yeah.
Like and they continue and honestly this is like a
But-
theme.
Yeah, like, and the joke is being like your husband leaves you for an older woman. That's the joke.
That's the joke. Is like, it's okay if your husband leaves you for a younger woman, but it's like extra terrible if your husband leaves you for
Who says
an
this?
older
I've
one.
never heard this. That's not a thing, actually.
It is well, I mean, never mind that. Like when we end up at a point where, and yes, we're jumping around a tiny bit, but we'll come back and we'll fill some stuff in after Frank and Lindsay have bonded in a just horrifically, terribly convoluted sex scene, which I would like to spend a long time talking about with you guys, by the way. After they've had this experience, they spend time with the characters, hanging out in bed, watching TV, and it's very cozy, very intimate. Like, it seems extremely coupley for like people who have seemingly hated each other until this moment. And then she asks him to tell her what he likes about her. It's like it's a serial killer's list of like ideas about women where they're not people. Like, and then her list, not much better.
No.
Not much better. But
Quite
his
a
list
description
is,
of his penis, too.
I mean, honestly, like, I guess great. Like, I don't know. I guess a bent penis is not everyone's cup of tea. Whatever. I don't know. I also don't know how she got that much time to look at it. Because, like, honestly, we didn't see that.
No, we did not see it. I
In
guess
the
she was
sex
going
scene?
more with a
feel?
a feel.
A feel?
Yeah.
I don't know. She described it as like a beautiful penis. Like, I was just like,
Yeah.
this movie has, in the same way that Frank, gets to scream out, "I have not known pleasure since 2006," this movie has never known the touch of a woman.
Yes.
Like, not us. Like, just, it is just male fantasy gone amok, and it's gross and it's awful and it's stupid.
And it's made, Winona Ryder and Keanu Reeves to be completely unlikable in this movie, which is like a hard thing to do.
Can I just say that this might have, just a thought, but how this could have been maybe a better movie with two better leads? I felt they were severely miscast in this.
Well, I was thinking about that a lot. I was like, is it, like, where does the fault lie? And I think for me, the fault does lie in the writer-director. Like, I agree that they're not bringing their A game, but I think they're working with the material that's there. I can't imagine that other actors would have necessarily been able to elevate the material because it's so
Funnier
bad.
Funnier people, I think, may have been able to work on that because it's a very standard trope of the rom-com for the two leads to hate each other until they don't. That's
Sure.
We've seen that so many times. It's almost as if this is just a rom-com with that one tiny bit on steroids.
But I think the scripts are usually funnier. Like this.
Yeah, the material they're working with is stupid.
That's the thing. Like, so did anybody laugh at a single thing?
I may have chuckled a couple of times. I don't know if I can remember.
I laughed once, and I know exactly when it was. It was when Frank says to Lindsay, "Just because he's Danish doesn't mean he was effing his daughter." And it was
Wow.
just the way Keanu Reeves said it. I was like, he enjoyed that line.
Yes.
And I can feel it. And it made me laugh. But that was it.
I
doesn't
I
it
don't
feel like-
recall.
Well, doesn't it feel like... So Keanu Reeves famously loves to do theater. Loves to do Shakespeare. Doesn't matter that it's maybe not his wheelhouse.
Yeah.
He loves to do it.
Yeah.
I can see why he was attracted to this, thinking that it's very like play-like. It's very mannered. It's just it's the two of them. That's it. His pal Winona, like, cool. Like, this will be fun and weird and et cetera, et cetera. So here's my like big reveal. You guys know that I hate Mad About You.
Yes.
Well, guess this writer-director spent years
Working on Mad About You?
working on Mad About You.
Oh my gosh, that really falls into place, hey?
Yeah, it
Yeah.
does. He also did some time on Mad Men.
Really?
Also a show not known for its wonderfully nuanced depictions of women, but yeah.
Yeah. It also felt like a bit like a Woody Allen film.
Minus any nuance at all.
Yeah.
And I mean, Woody Allen, creeper of all creeps.
Yeah.
But
Yeah.
at the very least, sometimes he can write a funny dialogue, like a little bit of funny dialogue.
It was just so unrelenting in its bitterness and its misanthropiness. Is that a word?
Yeah, no, it's
Misanthropic?
yeah, it was deeply misanthropic. Those characters, I feel like we've seen movies, like I don't mind a movie where the two leads are like anti-heroes if they're at least given material that's funny and that they can make funny, like
Because you are not rooting for these people at all.
oh,
But I
Not at
also
all.
I felt like the technical aspects of the movie were bad. Like
Yeah.
some of the scenes, like the ones with, there's a part where they're outside and they see a mountain lion. Like that felt entirely green screen. Like I mean, obviously it
Absolutely.
was.
Yeah.
But it was like it felt so obviously green screened. Even the parts that the mountain lion wasn't in.
Oh, yeah, that
It's
was,
like-
yeah.
it was
Oh,
terrible.
my gosh, yeah.
honestly, that mountain lion, like, I don't know how all three of them didn't get nominated for Razzies. Like, I just
And I don't know how they're not more terrified. It didn't even make sense. I hate that when people aren't terrified. That would be one of the most
Yeah.
terrifying things to ever happen in your life.
Or, like when they're having sex a bit later on after the mountain lion leaves the scene. But, like, she just casually is like, those are tarantulas over there. And,
Yeah.
like, they kind of just don't do anything. They just continue. And that seems very strange to me.
Yeah.
You see
Plus,
tarantulas
if a
in the
tarantula
wild.
does bite you, you do get very sick.
Yeah. I also like okay, yeah, we got to spend some time in this sex scene because
We do?
it is the worst sex scene I have ever
Yeah.
seen on
Yeah.
screen
Yeah, it really was.
in my life. And I know that they were trying to be comedic about it. I get that. But again, nothing ever hits as comedy like at any point. And like so Frank, one of his gross characteristics or gross like physical traits is that he is constantly trying to hawk up phlegm, and it's disgusting. And this is how he gets rid of the mountain lion. I guess that's supposed to be the big payoff for his like revolting little quirk. And they're running away from the mountain lion, and then they fall and they roll down a hill, but they're not that far from the mountain lion. Like, they haven't gone that far. They roll down a hill, and this suddenly leads to like him, kissing Lindsay, and then kissing her again, and then she jumps on him. Then they talk about, of course you don't have condoms on you. Why would anyone carry condoms in 2018? Which I thought that was a weird question, but okay. I think a lot of people carry condoms in 2018. Then we find out Frank hasn't known the touch of a woman since 2006, and neither of them can remember the last time they had sex with anybody else. They talk nonstop through the sex about really wild things, like his mother and the tarantulas and how it looks like he's going to vomit on her. And eventually, and this goes on for so long, and then just for so long, the sounds that both of them make, I mean, I guess they are a match made in heaven because it's terrible. And then, now that they've had the magic sex, suddenly Lindsay is all like, well, maybe this is meant to be. Maybe this is love. Like, the quick turn in which she then suddenly spends the rest of the movie begging him to give this a chance was so... I felt so mad.
I agree.
Yeah.
I
So
agree.
mad.
I guess maybe we can just blame some oxytocin on it or something. Maybe there was some sort of hormone release during their experience, and she's just a victim to nature. I don't know, but yeah, but the way she groveled after him, I felt humiliated for her.
And what is it about? Like, and why? Like,
Yeah, there's nothing he's done. Nothing he's done.
And nothing she has said up to this moment has. She's at this wedding of her ex who ditched her 5 weeks before she got married. She sued him to get the money back that her parents put on deposits. Great. Why you would invite this person to your wedding is I do think Keith probably was a monster.
Mm-hmm.
And certainly, Godspeed to his new wife. How she goes from needing closure to having sex with his brother to then being like, maybe the real destination is you and me. That's a line she says
Yes.
in the movie called Destination Wedding. Like, you guys. I'm so sorry.
No, I give it, the only thing I'll give it points for is an ambition. I thought we would see them interact with other characters, but we don't, and they keep them off. And I thought that was sort of quite a bold take in a movie about a wedding. So in that way, I was intrigued, but I think you needed something. There should have been some soft side. There should have been something that made you want to root for these people just a little bit. And I couldn't find it. And the boringness after a while of two very, very bitter people just talking about the same depressing subjects over and over and over again, it felt like, I felt like just jumping inside my screen and smacking them both and saying, a la Cher in Moonstruck, snap out of it, just like, get over yourselves, people, because I hated them that much, both of them.
Yeah. I mean, for me, the sort of major takeaway of this movie is just like normalize saying no to wedding invitations because you don't have to go to these things, and sometimes you're better off not going, and don't feel bad about it. Like it's okay. Sometimes people are just trying to be a big person to invite you and do something nice, but they actually probably don't care if you come or not. So don't feel then obligated to go to something that you're going to hate. It's fine.
Let this be the reason why. If you decide you want to go to a destination wedding, just remember this podcast episode and say no. There you go.
I mean, the thing is, like, these characters have all of these moments that, like, they disguise as some kind of, like, enlightenment about the human condition. They try to pretend that they understand things that, like, the rest of the world is too dumb to know. And they identify themselves, like, quote unquote, we're trite, trivial, tone deaf narcissists. And, like, when you say that without any attempt to address why you are that way, all you're doing is, like, kind of bragging. Like, they are...
Yeah, thinking you're better than everybody else, which is definitely a big part of who they were. Big part.
Yeah, it's so frustrating to sort of... And again, I don't mind a movie that, like, asks us to sort of pull out the humanity of people who otherwise suck. Like, because they both like sort of, I mean, not so much Lindsay, but Frank gets quite a backstory. Shot by his father, who then goes and dies by suicide by jumping out of a 7th floor hotel. Like, it was... The delivery of it all, again, you're supposed to find sort of like somehow tragicomic or whatever. Yeah. And it's so flat. It's so lifeless. But we know that Keanu can be funny. Like, he was very funny in Always Be My Maybe. Like, he has...
But like you said, material. You need the material to work with.
You need the material.
Plus, he was playing himself. I think he's obviously a much nicer person from what I understand than this character would lead us to believe.
Yeah, I mean, I will say, like, that... Do you ever think, like, just, like, the extra curly Q on the facial hair was sort of, like, an indication that he was, like, kind of a bad dude?
But so the full... They showed us the full title of this movie, which is Destination Wedding, or A Narcissist Can't Die Because Then the Entire World Would End.
Uh-huh.
And I was just trying to figure out,
What does that mean?
what that meant in terms of the movie.
It means that, like, the writer is not apologizing for a single thing that he has done. He has put it right there, front and center, smack dab. Like, this is the movie he wanted to make because he thinks this is funny.
Mm-hmm.
And, like, it could be funny if you really want to play up the narcissism element. Like, I really think that if this movie had, like, a very clever rewrite from, like, 2 other actual funny writers, then you're golden.
Yeah.
Like,
If I'd been, I mean, yeah, in lots of ways, this should be something I would like, and plus I'm used to that trope of the couple that bicker and argue the whole way through until they fall in love, but not to the point of exhaustion where, like, you want to kill them.
well, and I also just think, like, I don't know, like, I also should sort of enjoy, like, misanthropes. Like, I do.
Yeah, but you have to find
But-
something about them that you like.
Well, I mean, just something that you can at least sort of identify with, some kind of entry point. And again, I find lots of people very funny who I don't like. Like, I could, like, again, a different movie maybe. Just imagine, like, if, like, I don't know, someone like Patton Oswalt was brought in as, like, sort of like a fixer on this kind of script, you know? Like, I just feel like,
Well, I think there's like some satiric parts of it, like the sort of process of going through the wedding, like having to go to all these events, like the rehearsal dinner, and when
Going through the
their
goodie
foot
bag, I thought was pretty
massage,
funny.
Their goodie bag,
Yeah.
and then like, and just kind of like the idea that, like, as guests, like, nobody, the bride and groom they're so busy doing their thing, like, nobody cares if you're there or not. You don't actually have to talk to anybody else. Like, nobody notices if you leave and don't actually attend the dinner part of the wedding. And, like, I think they just kind of, like, they got, like, those kind of satirical, like, when they're satirizing, like, weddings.
Yes.
And the wedding process. A few of those parts were amusing.
Yeah, like, I think that is fair, and I do think that element worked. I think I even, like, for some reason laughed when he spilt an entire bottle of wine on his pants in the airplane. I don't know why. I thought that was reasonably funny.
Because you wanted to make the joke, oh, you got your period, which would have been funny. And would make sense for the lead up to that. It was all PMS.
And for this movie, for
Yeah,
sure. That would be
exactly.
absolutely the kind of joke that might fly. I wanna just, like, point out, so a lot of the reviews, not great. The Los Angeles Times, stubbornly unfunny, 86 minutes, that feels a lot longer. New York Times called the film torture. Quote, this would-be romantic comedy is grating, cheap-looking, and a mighty drag. Entertainment Weekly, I think, kind of nails it a little bit, although they gave it too high a grade at a C+. I think it should have had a D. The script comes on like a rom-com David Mamet freight train. Again, that's probably too much credit to the script. Not that I'm the biggest Mamet fan, but the dialogue was just so uncomfortable.
You could see that that's what this guy was going for. He thought he was David Mamet.
Oh, he for sure thought he
Yeah.
was, but
Yeah.
like there are phrases that absolutely could not sound natural coming out of anybody's mouth, no matter who you are.
Yeah.
Like Helen Mirren could not have made this material work.
No, it's so talky. You can't even memorize that much.
Yeah, I don't know what they were like. I feel for them. I honestly do. But a couple people really liked it, and these are the people who, like, ended up with, like, why the critic score is 51% on Rotten Tomatoes. And this just, look, IndieWire gives the film a B and says, quote, maybe this is what falling in love is like, and it's high time that rom-coms had the space for weirdos like these.
No.
There's
There's a reason why we like rom-coms, and it's
Have
not,
they ever seen When Harry Met Sally? That's
Yeah.
how you do anyway.
That's how you do it, exactly.
Yeah. Benjamin Lee of The Guardian also gave the film 3 out of 5 stars, which is wild to me, but anyway. He says, yes, the dialogue does border on overwritten, but there's enough wit and finely observed pedantry to make up for the occasional indulgence. He also thinks that the leads, quote, share an easy, spiky chemistry, and Reeves in particular shows himself to be surprisingly skilled at delivering such bile-filled dialogue.
Well,
What movie was he watching?
I think if you came into this with that same sense of I hate weddings, I hate love, I hate it all, I think
true.
you might find something there for you.
Do you think all the people who saw this and loved it have just all gone through recent breakups?
Yes.
Have all
Had gone to
had
tragic destination weddings.
terrible divorces?
Yes, of course I do. I think you can see all kinds of, I think they're just all projecting 100%.
This
Mind
is
blown. Boom.
Yeah, I'm
I'll
gonna think
make
about
the
this
gesture.
for a while.
You might have just cracked this one wide open.
Yeah. Great work. Wow. Jeez. I don't know. Like, I like them both so much, and I just think they're not even given a chance here.
Yeah. Also, this is minor, but it annoyed me how in this scene, there's a scene where they're in bed together in their hotel room, and their wine glasses are at different levels.
Yes.
As they go back and forth
Yep.
from different shots.
Well,
Yep.
thus the cheap movie, which it was.
Yeah.
It looked very cheap to me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
It's not great. I can't even believe I'm gonna say it. I'm glad we had at least a chance to unpack it and sort of group hate it.
Yeah.
Like
Sure.
I do find it fun when we can sort of strongly, come together in contempt. I do wish it was more fun to hate though.
Yeah.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Yeah.
But I would, all right, ask the big question.
Does destination wedding pop?
Well, I think since we started off the podcast thing, it didn't pop. Basically.
We didn't convince each other that it did
Yeah.
pop. No, this is a flat bottle of bubbly.
It's honestly, it's like one of those bottles of wine that you've left in the window for like 10 years, and then it's just all sediment and grossness.
Yeah.
Tart vinegar that like
It's-
is useless.
Well, it's like spilled airplane wine on someone's crotch.
Yeah, there you go. Perfect. I think that's the name of this podcast.
Oh my god. Spilled airplane wine on someone's crotch.
Yeah, there we go. Perfect.
Wow. Incredible. Yeah, what more could you say? But you know what? It's nice to recommend stuff that's actually good. Lisa, would you like to go first?
Sure. So, as a Star Wars fan, you know that Obi-Wan
Yeah, of
Kenobi
course.
started on Disney Plus. There's 2 episodes up. I only watched the first one. It wasn't my favorite thing. It was a bit depressing to just see Obi-Wan Kenobi living in a cave, and people keep coming to him going, "Please help me, Jedi Master," and he's going, "That's not me anymore. I'm Ben." He kept saying that a lot. However, I'm always very excited to be back in the Star Wars universe, and it does have an interesting feel and some wild casting choices when one of the bad guys shows up. Who is it? But Flea from the Red Hot Chili Peppers. So
Wow.
that was unexpected.
That is unexpected.
Yeah, it was very unexpected. I thought he was just going to whip out the bass, but no, he didn't. He's playing a whole other different character. So Obi-Wan Kenobi, I'm going to stay with it, and we'll see if I start to like the episodes a bit more, but it is nice to be back.
Nice.
Yeah, I saw a message that Ewan McGregor recorded on his social media.
I did see that too.
Because there's been a lot of racist comments against Moses Ingram, who is in the movie.
Ugh,
And
that's awful.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I
So-
saw that as well. It was heartbreaking. And then I saw, some good people, coming in, William Shatner coming in saying there's no place, we have no room for this. So There's been a good drumming out and down of all of these hideous people, but here we go again. Yeah.
Toxic fandoms. Well, elements of fandoms that are toxic. Anyway, that sucks. But Moses seems really cool.
Yeah.
Yeah.
AG, what about you?
I'm going for a bit of nostalgia this week. I'm going to recommend the Kids in the Hall series on Amazon. I mean, it's like, it'll give you just like a warm feeling of remembering watching Kids in the Hall when in the 90s. And I mean, yeah, it's just like, it's funny and it does make you think a little bit because like, it's interesting that this group of men, like a lot of their comedy is about dressing up as women and they somehow make it work. Like it's not horrible.
Yeah.
And it's just like, like what is it about their comedy that is kind of enduring because they do a lot of callbacks to earlier jokes in the series and like, like what makes their jokes sort of stand up in this day and age and what makes them, like a special comedy group and why people love them so much. Like it's not gonna like there's a lot of hits and there's a few misses. It's not like all amazing, but it will give you like a warm, fuzzy, nostalgic feeling to switch it on.
Nice.
Lisa, you're muted.
I keep forgetting to watch it, so thank you. That's a good reminder.
Have you guys watched the documentary that Paul Myers did?
No.
I think it maybe is also on Prime. I'm not sure yet, but it just came out like earlier this year. I think he did a documentary. I'm pretty sure because he had also, I believe, written a book about it.
Yeah.
About them too. But yeah, that all sounds great. Thank you. I am going to recommend. So I will preface this by saying I read an advanced review copy. So all you can do right now is pre-order the book. You can't read it yet, but it's great. It is by a friend and colleague, Melody Lau, and she has written a really wonderful book called Tegan and Sarah, Modern Heartthrobs.
Oh.
And it's so great. She has lots of interviews with the Quins, and she does such a good job sort of like unpacking their whole career, the sort of things that they faced as, out gay twin women in the music industry and through the music media, and the incredible misogyny and homophobia of music journalists, unfortunately, early on, but also just like really sort of like helping to give us a better understanding of the relationship between the two of them and their sort of like, how it sort of like shows up in the lyrics as well. And she goes through every album and she just does a really amazing job. And the book is coming out via Invisible Publishing and you can pre-order it now and it will be out August 16th, 2022.
Excellent.
Nice.
Yeah. Well, we have it all there for you. Science fiction, comedy, we got music. You don't need to even think about Destination Wedding.
You never need to think about Destination Wedding again.
No.
Thank you, everyone, for hanging out with us. You could hang out with us on Twitter, Facebook, or Instagram. You could rate and review us 5 stars.
5 stars. And thank you to, I like to say, our 5-star general, Andrea Gin, who produces, co-hosts, and watches a lot of terrible movies now that she never really anticipated.
Do I ever?
As I've mentioned before, when I used to come and say to you, did you watch the thing that we just talked about? You'd always, no. You'd always answer like that, too. Like, no. Like, there. Why would I do that? And now look at you. Look at you now.
Yeah.
Yep, that's about the level of enthusiasm. And that's fair.
There we go. Well, we'll
really
continue our brides or wedding month.
Wedding month, yeah, we'll continue next week.
Next week, all of June. So I look forward to it.
Me too.
Bye, everyone.
Thanks, everyone. Bye.